He notices that today is his junior's farewell party, and they have some food and drinks at the party. While they party, the news reports about a random attacker who was on the loose, and his junior asks him if Sasaki has thought about going independent. Sasaki wonders why he wants him to join him that badly, and his junior mentions that Sasaki seems full of energy lately and that he is giving off an I can do it aura. Sasaki thinks that it might be because he bought a new bed and can sleep better now. He thinks that he has been sleeping in and out of the other world lately, and the bed there is really large. Due to this, the bed in his room is starting to feel cramped, and his body is slowly getting used to a more luxurious lifestyle. He thinks that maybe he should also start sleeping there, and after his party, he heads home. On his way, he dodges some ice shards that come his way, and he notices a man trying to kill a woman by using some kind of superpower. He tries to run away, but he gets concerned about the woman's well-being, and he thinks that this man might be the one from the news. He then attacks the man with an ice shard, and the man starts to freeze. Sasaki thinks that he doesn't want to kill this man, but he doesn't know how to stop this spell. And the woman then turns the ice into water, and she points a gun at Sasaki. She asks Sasaki if he is a psychic and where he is from. She wonders if he is the one who fired that icicle, and Sasaki states that he was. The woman asks him when he awakened these powers, and Sasaki mentions that he did that recently. The woman can't believe that she was saved by a stray psychic, and she asks him to come with her. She mentions that she is not going to harm him, and Sasaki wonders if they are magicians like him. He thinks that it won't be surprising if there are other people from Peeps' world here, and if this is the case, he would like to talk more with her. He asks the woman if he can go to his home first, and the woman tells him to also get some new clothes as he will be staying the night. Sasaki mentions that he has work tomorrow, and the woman states that the organization will take care of that. Afterwards, Sasaki tells everything to Peeps, and Peeps mentions that he can't feel any mana from that female. He states that she might be using some phenomenon that is different from magic, and he thinks that both their worlds might have a similar phenomenon, but they run on entirely different logics. Sasaki thinks that this could be the discovery of the century, and Peeps mentions that they should listen to her to learn more about that. Sasaki asks Peeps to come along as well, and Peeps agrees. Sasaki then tries to leave, and his neighbor asks him if he is going out. Sasaki states that he is, and the girl states that it must be hard to be out so late. The girl then wonders if they can talk for a moment, and Sasaki mentions that he is in a hurry and wonders if it can wait till the next time. The girl agrees, and Sasaki then meets with the woman, and he states that he will also be bringing his pet's parrot with him. The woman agrees to this, and she introduces herself as Hoshizaki. Sasaki also introduces himself, and Hoshizaki thanks him for coming to her rescue. They then head to the organization, and on the way, Hoshizaki explains to Sasaki that psychics are like magicians whose powers manifest spontaneously, and the rate of manifestation is 1 in every 100,000 people. Once their abilities manifest, they never change back, and the abilities vary from person to person. There hasn't been any record of anyone manifesting additional abilities, but after repeated use, their abilities can grow in strength. She mentions that her ability is to manipulate water movement and temperature, and Sasaki thinks that this seems like it's separate from magic. Hoshizaki states that many of these abilities are dangerous, and there are psychics who turn to crime. Those are the ones that they catch, and Sasaki wonders if this is her job. Hoshizaki mentions that it is, and she states that, as a general rule, once someone manifests their ability, they must be registered with the country's organization for managing psychics. Sasaki mentions that he didn't know that an organization like that existed, and Hoshizaki states that it's because this is a national secret. They then arrive at the organization building, and she mentions that this is the Paranormal Phenomenon Countermeasure Bureau. She states that this will be Sasaki's workplace from now on, and Sasaki is surprised to hear this. Hoshizaki mentions that she registered him a while ago, and they head inside. Hoshizaki mentions that Sasaki can expect great treatment here. He will be considered a government official, and he can earn a handsome pay at work. She states that he will learn more in his training, and she asks him what he can do with his power. Sasaki thinks that the title of a government official is alluring, but he doesn't want to go to the battlefield, and he thinks that he should set the bar low so that they wouldn't want him in battle. He mentions that he can only shoot icicles, and he shows her how he forms the icicles. Seeing this, Hoshizaki realizes that Sasaki can create ice from nothing, and she thinks that this would be a great match for her power. She explains that she can manipulate water, movement, and temperature, but she can't create water, and due to this, she has to carry water bottles with her. But with him around, she would no longer have to worry about that, and she could go on more dangerous missions. Sasaki thinks that she must be the workaholic type, and he wonders if she is already filling him with her next mission. He states that he would like to take things safe and do stuff he is good at, and Hoshizaka mentions that a psychic's paycheck has no limit, and they earn more the harder they work. Sasaki thinks that he got himself caught with a dangerous person, and the scene cuts to him in a room at the bureau. He thinks that he would like to sleep for now, but he has to stock up and go to the other world. He also needs to give French's pay, and he thinks that he can't use his magic here as this place might be under surveillance. He then takes a walk with Peeps, and Peeps tells him that they are being tailed. Sasaki mentions that he expected this, and he states that stocking up is impossible, but he would like to explain his situation to everyone there. He wonders if they can do something, and Peeps mentions that several hours in the other world will only be a few minutes here, and he tells Sasaki to go to the other world under the pretext of using the restroom. Sasaki then uses the restroom of a convenience store, and he teleports to the other world. He informs Mark that he will need some time before their next deal, and he pays French's wages. The scene then cuts to someone ringing Sasaki's doorbell the next morning, and Sasaki notices that it's 6 in the morning. He finds out that Hoshizaka is at the door, and she mentions that it's time for work. Sasaki hesitates to work with her, and he mentions that he would like to report to someone who is higher up than her, and he would like to verify if this is an actual workplace. Hoshizaka states that this is why she doesn't like dealing with old people, and she mentions that they can stop by the bureau on the way, and she asks Sasaki to get dressed up. The section chief of Hoshizaki's department then comes there, and he mentions that he got curious because Hoshizaki burst out of the office in the morning. He mentions that he doesn't mind Hoshizaki being enthusiastic about work, but she should not involve the new guy without permission. The section chief then apologizes for meeting Sasaki like this, and he mentions that he is a really busy man. He states that his name is Akutsu, and he will be Sasaki's immediate superior. Akutsu then asks Hoshizaki to head back to the office and write up yesterday's report. He mentions that Sasaki will be getting some training for now, and he gives Sasaki a new phone. He mentions that they are going to contact Sasaki using this, and he asks him to carry this phone on him at all times as he might get called outside of work hours in case of an emergency. Sasaki thinks that this stinks, and he thinks that he can just leave this phone in the other world if they call in too frequently. This would keep the phone out of network coverage, and it would also disable the GPS tracking. Akutsu then leaves as he has other work to take care of, and he mentions that Sasaki can either call or text him if he has any problems. The scene then cuts to Sasaki doing a medical exam in the building, and after taking an ID picture, he has taught a lot of stuff about the agency. He mentions that his new workplace is a peripheral government ministry that does not exist. Outwardly, they are not allowed to speak of it to anyone outside the bureau, and therefore their public position is that of police sergeants. Sasaki thinks that this explains why Hoshizaka carries a gun with her, and he asks one of the people training him about Hoshizaka. The person wonders why he is asking, and Sasaki mentions that it seems like he is going to pair up with her. The person wishes him luck, and Sasaki thinks that she must be the troublesome type. Sasaki states that after this, his training was over, and they handed him an allowance of $1 million to cover job preparation. Sasaki thinks that he can use this money to stock up for now, and he heads back to his home. There, he meets the little girl, and he remembers that she wanted to talk to him. The girl then gives him some cookies that she baked at her home economics class as thanks for the chocolate, and Sasaki thanks her for this. The girl then asks Sasaki if the woman he was with earlier is his girlfriend, and Sasaki states that she is just his superior at work. The girl mentions that she seems a little young for that, and Sasaki mentions that his company values ability more than seniority. The girl wonders if it's a foreign company, and Sasaki states that it's something like that, and he thinks that he can't tell her the truth. After knowing what happened to those who leaked confidential information, Sasaki then heads inside, and seeing him, Pete makes a lot of noise. Sasaki realizes that something is up, and he takes Peeps out for a walk. Peeps then tells Sasaki that some people bugged his place while he was out, and Sasaki asks him if they saw him checking the internet. Peeps mentions that they did not, and the scene cuts to Sasaki disarming the camera and microphone at his house. Akutsu then calls Sasaki, and he mentions that Sasaki has some real talent. Sasaki mentions that he understands Akutsu's apprehensions, but he asks him to refrain from doing something like this from now on, or it will be difficult for him to act according to his wishes. Akutsu apologizes, and he mentions that this was like a test. He states that Sasaki passed, and he explains that there were people who didn't think fondly of their organization. This was a test to check his skill and confirm his stance. If he viewed their organization as an enemy, then he wouldn't have removed the bugs right away. And he mentions that they have had several opportunities to catch informants, and most of them either blew their cover at this stage or pretended not to notice. He mentions that there are many psychics who rush into danger, and many believe that they are the chosen ones to handle and manage these sorts of people. They would like to welcome an honest and skilled person like Sasaki. He hopes that Sasaki can put his skills to good use working for him, and Sasaki understands. He then hangs up the phone, and he thinks that Akutsu is the kind of person around whom he can't let his guard down. Peeps then wonders if Sasaki is going to stock up tonight, and Sasaki states that he will do that another time, and he thinks that his relaxing life in another world is still a faraway dream. And elsewhere, Akutsu thinks that Sasaki seems like the kind of person whom he can use well. I appreciate you viewing my anime recap, Unruly Family. Please let me know what you think about Sasaki and Peeps by liking, sharing, subscribing, and leaving a comment.
Take you